Good morning. Hey, I wanted to take you inside of the Diet Beta test, and I thought that this was going to be a fantastic module to share, not keep for myself. Um, Chalene may or may not want me to be doing this, but you guys deserve to hear this too. And so let's learn how to free our emotional connection to food. Let's learn together.
Hi, this is Dr. Michaela Sarno here. To help you feel empowered throughout this next week and feel confident in your ability to choose how you're going to experience this process, let's dig in for a moment and talk about mindset and how you are relating to food. Because when we're trying new things, there's always the concern of self-sabotage and just getting in our own way. But self-sabotage and fear all stem from the beliefs you hold and your current perception and how you are defining not only yourself, but your abilities and outside influences in your life, in this case, food. But your ability to overcome that fear and step into your power requires merely a shift in perspective. That's how much power perspective has in our lives. Now, there's no doubt this last week has been a challenge. The metabolic prime is like nothing else out there. And fasting is something most of us probably thought we would never do. Fasting was seen as something that only those people with a tremendous amount of power and self-will could ever do. But you are actually just as powerful, and your ability is just as strong. Now, there are two ways to view intelligence or ability. Ability is fixed or ingrained, and this is called a fixed mindset. And we can develop our ability through hard work and effort. This is called a growth mindset. Now, these two different beliefs lead to different behaviors and also to different results. So having a growth mindset, the belief that you are in control of your own ability and can learn and improve, is really the key to succeeding in whatever you do. Now, hard work, effort, persistence are all important, but not nearly as important as having that underlying belief that you are in control of your own destiny. Research actually shows that it's the way we think about our ability that really counts. How we perceive our ability, and just about anything in our life, and what those things mean and or represent will 100% determine how you respond to those things. A healthy mindset is having the ability to see something for what it really means or is, as opposed to what one hopes or fears it to be. So let's take food, for example. If you see food as fuel, you will most definitely change the way you respond to it. But if you see food as something other, this is where we get entangled in a pattern of unhealthy behaviors. Your relationship with food needs to change. And relationships, if we open ourselves up to them, will provide those opportunities for change to really happen. But we have to be willing to see food differently. Our relationships, speaking of relationships, reveals so much about ourselves. Oftentimes, I'll have a client who's struggling in their relationship and they describe all the problems that they now have in their life as a result. They describe their partner's lack of communication. They don't listen. There's all this anger because they don't acknowledge them. They're grieving over the loss of the person that they thought they once were. But relationships don't necessarily change us, and the problems that have surfaced were already there. Our relationships just reveal the problems, yet we direct our focus on fixing the relationship rather than addressing what lies at the core. It all comes down to our perspective and how we are perceiving things. We don't have control over other people. We only have control over our responses to them. And the same goes with food, emotional eating, and how we respond to the cravings and urges that we feel so often powerless over. The fact of the matter is that you have formed a relationship with food. And if you're emotionally eating, it's not a healthy relationship, rather more of a codependent one. And food isn't the problem. The food just reveals the issues and emotional needs that are already there. Now, getting back your power begins with redefining the problem. But just to normalize for a second, It's not surprising that so many people develop an emotional relationship with food. Because if you really think about it, food acknowledges our feelings. It's there when we get home after a long day to comfort us. It's there to entertain us when we're bored. We can trust food because it's consistent and it will never leave us or abandon us. It will never reject us, and food is dependable and reliable to the very end. Now, the problem with this is that food cannot be given that kind of power in our lives any more than we should give another person that kind of power. People in our lives, regardless of what they think or do, don't define us nor our capabilities, and neither should food. Food is not love, and you might have associated food with love as a result of memories in the past where food maybe represented love from another person. But food is fuel. Seeing food in the right context will help you shift your relationship into a much healthier one, not just from a logical standpoint, but also from a cognitive standpoint. Your perception alters your actions, and that's huge. So I want you to consider these 4 tips to help you to really begin the process of changing that relationship. Okay? Step number 1, try to stay present. Now, the majority of all of our unwanted food habits, they come from an unconscious place, because you can't binge and also be present with your food. When you're present while eating, your body lets you know when it's full. But we must be awake and aware enough to hear those cues. Awareness is half the battle. Unwanted eating habits require that a certain part of us checks out. So now just begin to check back in. Slow down with your food and with life in general. And as you become more present with your meals, you can become more present to your feelings and emotions that need your attention. It's those unacknowledged emotions that really drive these eating behaviors. But being present is something you want to practice every day. Now, it can be challenging, but rewarding as you begin to see the change over time. Okay, so number 2, learn to communicate with your body. Listen to your body the way you would a best friend. If you don't understand its language right away, just investigate it. Your body, of course, will communicate verbally, but it does have a language. If cheese makes you constipated, that's your body's way of telling you it's having trouble digesting dairy. But if we don't listen, it will only get louder and become a bigger problem over time. Just as couples come in for couples counseling, in order to learn to communicate better, your body wants you to better communicate with it as well. We build trust with our body when we improve our communication with it. Now, as we learn to listen to our bodies, it develops more trust, and we become more relaxed around food because it's not as threatening. Also, listen to your body's cues for intimacy, connection, and affection. When these needs aren't being met, we can most often confuse them with hunger cues. Okay, so number 3, spend quality time with food. There's an incredible amount of energy and resources that are required to grow, harvest, and prepare food for consumption. So from that perspective, we want to learn to respect it. Practice cooking or preparing your own food, at least sometimes. I mean, in this age, so much of our food is processed, it's easy to get disconnected from our food. Slow down, touch your food, cook it, eat it with love. Now, this is an approach we use in treating those who struggle with eating disorders. It's called the dialectical behavioral approach, DBT. Have an attitude of gratitude before and during meals. Relate to food as if it's sacred. Be humble about it. These habits go a long way in healing your relationship with food. And number 4, forgive food and forgive yourself. Whatever your relationship with food has been, forgive it. It's in the past, and you're moving forward. It's time to start fresh. Now, this doesn't mean that you're perfect, or that you will eat perfectly. It means you're allowing for life to be imperfect. And we can start with a fresh perspective when we forgive ourselves. We let go of old judgments and replace it with compassion. Most overeating happens on autopilot. Either overeaters generally don't realize that they're eating more than they need to, or they binge with as much shame as a drug addict or a secret drinker. Mindful eaters Understand and accept that they're bound to slip sometimes because someone offers them a food gift, or they're at a celebration where everyone else is eating cake, or they're stressed. But when that happens, they forgive themselves and move on. Beating yourself up with criticism only makes you feel worse and can actually prompt more mindless eating. The cycle goes like this: we overeat, we feel bad, criticize ourselves, feel bad about ourselves, eat to soothe ourselves, and repeat. Compassion, on the other hand, stops this cycle by helping you examine the entire sequence of events rather than judge it. Now, this is the time to truly forgive yourself for any challenges you've had with your food and your body in the past. Whatever prompted this unhealthy relationship with food, it had a reason, but it probably had little to do with food itself. So you want to be kind and gentle with yourself and just do the best you can. Now, if you have trouble with food because it has become a substitute for love or self-worth or self-soothing, let yourself know it's okay to need those comforts and give yourself permission to have them. Understand that you're human and just appreciate that we will all have our challenges in our life. And from that place, a great relationship with food can finally happen, a healthier relationship. People with a healthy relationship to food eat mindfully. They eat in moderation. They understand the importance of timing. They eat when they're physically hungry. They stop when they're comfortably full. And they don't keep problematic foods in the house. You know, the difference between a snack and a treat, they give themselves permission to enjoy eating. They don't make up for lost meals, and they don't eat to see scale shift. They're not afraid of feeling hungry. And the concern for food doesn't interfere with their daily life. Becoming mindful and shifting your relationship with food will get you everywhere. Once this mental shift happens, you will see yourself respond to food differently. The power is in perception. I mean, if you think about it, our eyes have been conditioned to see certain foods in a particular way. And while some colors stimulate the taste buds, others are capable of killing the appetite. I mean, if you think about a blue apple, vegetables that are red, green, and yellow may look appealing, but on the other hand, would you really want to eat a bright blue carrot? Think about how you can be watching a cookery program on television and find your mouth watering at the sight of a tempting meal being prepared. That's because taste is intertwined with our perception as well. Taste sends information to the brain as to whether what you're eating is sweet or salty or sour, bitter, or savory. Taste as a sense is made up of sight, smell, touch, and results in taste. So if you respond to a moldy piece of bread with a facial expression that shows disgust, chances are your brain has already made up its mind before you put it in your mouth that you're not going to eat it, which is why most people refuse the moldy offering prior to eating it. Your brain is programmed to choose foods that will give your body the greatest nutrients. To get a balanced diet, you need a mixture of foods that are different colors. Dairy is generally pale and white, vegetables and fruits, a mixture of bright yellows, greens, and red. Meats often a rich brown. But your subconscious knows this, which is why you pause over the fruit bowl to pick one and find it visually appealing. To counter this, your brain will also reject food that your eyes perceive as being dangerous to you: rotten fruit and vegetables, moldy bread, burnt or undercooked meat. So you can see how much your perception plays a role in this process. How you are relating to food, what food is providing, how you are reading cues from your body, and how you are perceiving your ability to conquer this next week all depend on a growth mindset, which results from all this information that I hope you're allowing yourself to take in. So hit this next week with clarity and a sense of ease. And for now, here's to living.
So let us be more present and mindful with our food, and let's attack this week with intention and being really deliberate about what we're doing, shall we? Have a great day, guys. Thank you so much for checking that out with me.